been into a maize crop in Taranaki, and I tell you what, I could not believe how tall and brilliant it was.
Bit of careful planning and getting it in early was a key, but also use of, well, I believe BioBrew on the soil structure leading up to maize planting, and also a nitrogen-based product instead of base urea going onto it at an early stage got it to the height that we can see there, which the shorter maturing variety is supposed to grow to around the 8 feet, and once you get into this paddock it's about 10-11 feet and double cobbing, which is something that's not generally heard of in maize of this variety.
So run us through what you did with BioBrew, and then what you did was you've done a comparison with that and less in.
Yep. What I did with BioBrew was the pastures before the maize got cultivated was made into a pit silage, and I used BioBrew and urea, a mix of 40 kgs of urea, so 20 units of nitrogen, across the whole block before it went in. So that had the tests that I've got here have showed that the nitrogen that was available in the soil was far in advance from the years that I've done this maize block previously. So that gave us a chance to eliminate having to put 300 kgs of urea across it and put a less amount over, and well, the results you can see here are, well, I'm fairly wrapped. I've never had a crop anywhere near this.
And your neighbours are starting to follow your footsteps now?
Well, they are. They've seen the grass is greener on the other side, but in this case the maize, and yeah, it's, well, I can't speak enough for it at the moment. We'll get some tests done once that comes off to see the what's the goodness and whatnot comes from it, but at the moment, yeah, we're probably a good 2 feet above where it's ever been before, and on the other side of it, this whole 7 hectares here is all double cobbing, which could give us a chance, if we can get that double cob through to full maturity, having a bumper yield.
So how does it stack up as a treatment financially?
Financially, compared to the urea on its own over the maize, it stacks up amazingly. To put 300 kgs of urea over with a helicopter works out to be about around the $430 a hectare, and to put the liquid urea and BioBrew on, this maize was around about $130, $140 a hectare, so there's a good $300 a hectare saving, and over the well, per hectare basis.
Penny saved is a penny earned, Mark.
Well, yes, that's right. As long as it sees it gets in the bank at the other end, once it's in the pit and in the cows, that's where we're looking for. But at the moment, yeah, over the moon.
You've tried it on pasture as well?
Yes, I tried it on an annual and oats block down here. That was 10 hectares that we put in, and I used one half of it we trialled it with less N and the other half with BioBrew. We found that the tests that we got back at the end of it, the sustainable sugars and starch levels in the pasture samples that we got were markedly higher. I think from memory 15 and above for the BioBrew side, and about 12.5 for the less N side, which at the time I was be happy with the less N side, but the yield factor on it was the BioBrew side was about a foot taller than the less N side that we trialled up here, and they both had exactly the same fertilisers over the last few years, and lack of fertilisers. All it had actually had was maize, the base fertiliser that goes on when we plant maize.
Do you want to talk financial as well there?
Yeah, I suppose we can. An extra foot on top of 2 foot, it's an extra third more once it comes into the goes down the cow's throat and into the vat. So if you want to talk, yeah, that side of it, yeah, it'd probably be a third extra profit.
Third aspect is you've got a story about some calves.
I have. These calves that we can see in the background here, I got fairly crook myself through at springtime, and I had 5 calves that were on their deathbed. They couldn't stand, they were lying on the side in the calf pens, and my wife actually suggested that we knock them on the head, and we talked to one of the reps here for BioBrew, and he suggested we trialled giving them 5 mils down the throat over a couple of week period, and within 5 days we weren't having to lift these calves up anymore. They were standing on their own, and I've actually put them back in with the other calves now, and you can't see any difference from them. It's 5 calves on a value term to me. Getting them through for another year is it's probably $1,500 to $1,800 an animal that we wouldn't have got if I hadn't trialled this BioBrew on them.
Tell me a bit about your property. How big is it, and how long have you been here?
We've got 100 hectares effective here. We've on two separate blocks. This is sort of the runoff block, which can be used as a milking platform. It's been a family farm for, Granddad was farming here in the 1950s, so we've been here for a fair while. This is my sixth season, share milking here, 50-50, and yeah, it's home. I love the place.
What's your rainfall? It looks pretty green.
We're looking at the best part of it at the moment. We haven't had a lot of rainfall here in the last 2 months, but on average, I think we're about 400 mils of rain a year.
And it's pretty well evenly spread?
Generally, we do tend to get dry in summer, which is the reason behind planting maize. It's a summer crop, and we have been dry for the last month, very dry in fact. But no, as you can see out into the paddock here, there's still grass there, and the girls are still ticking over.
After the break, we'll be talking about farmers' confidence in Canterbury.